most intense job interview. It's Dana White's Contender Series.
Future stars are vying for that UFC contract. They have a chance literally to change their lives forever.
After the long hours in the gym.
Oh, that's it! That is it!
After the years of grueling training.
What determination they have.
After a lifetime pursuing hopes and dreams. There comes the moment where a contender can make dreams come true. 100 fighters.
Welcome to the Contender Series. These fighters know what gets them to the big show.
10 nights.
One shot and it is over. Wow.
Oh, he's out!
That's it. Action-packed.
One shot to impress the boss and earn a UFC contract. This is Dana White's Contender Series.
Scorching hot Tuesday night in Las Vegas. If you're lucky enough to be in Las Vegas, you know what that means. You got to get inside the beautiful air-conditioned UFC Apex. If not, you can just pull up next to your TV and turn on ESPN Plus. You can catch Dana White Contender Series. Dan, Tom, alongside me, John Morgan. It is week 8 of season 3, and I don't know, man. I know sometimes it seems like we get excited. We're just fight junkies. We get excited, right? But I feel like this card is pretty intriguing. We start and end it with light heavyweights that I think have the power to end fights. We got a women's bout in there. I'm feeling pretty good about this 5-fight lineup.
Yeah, I mean, and on the other end, the lighter weight classes are bantamweights, and I say it all the time. Their knockout percentages are deceptive. We got male and female sample sizes in that department as well.
Yeah, no question about it. I think it's going to be a fun night. It's been fun all season long. We said it kind of got a weird start to the season, but it's really picked up pace, and we've been having a good time. There's just 3 weeks left. It's this week and 2 more of them. We did find out Dana White says we'll have another run of this later in the year, but just 3 weeks left right now. Again, it's on ESPN Plus at the top of the hour. No time to waste. Let's get into breaking down these fights, talking about what you can see. The UFC has once again been kind enough to give us the video packages previewing this so you can meet a little bit of these fighters. First up tonight, it will be in the light heavyweight division. It is Julius Anglickas versus Carl Reed, a familiar name if you've been a hardcore Dana White's Contender Series fan. So here's a little bit about each of these men ahead of this matchup.
I want to prove that I can do this. A lot of people doubted me and thought I should not fight or I should stop early, but I'm here to prove them wrong. My name is Julius Anglickas. I'm 27 years old. I fight from St. Charles MMA, and my goal is to represent Lithuania in UFC. I grew up in Lithuania. I moved to the United States when I was 14, and my dream is to fight in the UFC. I went to college for many years. I have a master's in teaching physical education, but I'm putting that on hold because I want to be a UFC fighter. I grew up in Lithuania. I moved to the United States when I was 14. Currently, I'm a LFA light heavyweight champion. I think I'll make an impact in the 205 division in UFC because I'm the first male from Lithuania and I'm hungry, and in some cases, that's dangerous. If this fight stays on the feet, I'm definitely going to be looking for that chin, or if he reaches too much, I'm definitely going to put him on the floor. If this fight goes to the ground, I'm going to put that pressure on him. I'm going to make him work to get up. I'm going to make him exhausted so he can't move. It's work, and it'll be hell for him. I will be the first male Lithuanian fighter in the UFC.
Two years, all I've been saying is redemption, redemption, redemption. 2 years I've been through the grind, and it all leads up to this. My name's Carl Reed, fighting out of upstate karate in Simpsonville, South Carolina. My goal is to be the best in the world. Getting this opportunity for me, man, just redemption. I've been saying it since I lost my first fight to Cameron Olson. Every fight I kept saying redemption tour, redemption tour, redemption tour. I've been waiting for this, and I'm excited to be back to really show what I should have showed the first time.
Winner by unanimous decision, Cameron Olson.
That loss definitely put a chip on my shoulder. You ask the last 4 guys I fought. Last 4 fights, I had 2 finishes. The other 2 fights went to decision, but they were 30-25 on all scorecards.
Let's go, keep going.
They called me last year for the Contender Series to come back for season 2, and I told them no. I told them no because I wanted to go back in the shadows. I wanted to make sure when I came back this year, I was one of the top prospects in the country coming in on this show, and I achieved that. I did that. So I'm back here to really just show what I've been doing in the gym. Carl Reed 2.0 is going to beat Julius just because I've been here before. I've been through the grind, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to put on the show. I'm ready to have fun, walk in with a smile on my face, and let Julius know early that this ain't the same person he saw on film.
All right, so Dan, Tom, I am intrigued by this one right off the bat. Okay, you got Julius Anglickas, comes with us with a 6-1 record, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions, all 3 of those by rear naked choke. So he's a finisher, 3 of those in the first round. He's on a 5-fight winning streak right now. Meanwhile, Carl Reed, he's 6-1 as well. But remember, his loss was on the Contender Series. But he came to the Contender Series at 2-0 in his career, very early on. Since then, he's gone 4-0. He's got 3 knockout wins. He's got 3 first-round finishes. He feels like he's definitely matured since then. Carl Reed, a slight underdog here, plus 135 is what I saw. Julius Anglickas, minus 155. What did you see when you broke this one down?
Man, this one's tough. I don't disagree with the odds here, but I like this one because, first of all, John, it's light heavyweight, but we got long frames and strikers. So stylistically, it's one of the most interesting ones with the most potential. That being said, if this gets out of the first round, I could actually see this being a bit of more of a slogging, feeling out affair. You end up in there kind of fighting for the win. Carl Reed, I believe he trains over there with Stephen Thompson. He's got a bit of a karate base himself. Both guys can wrestle. You know I'm favorable to these karate guys. And Carl Reed, again, I believe August 15th in the first season was the last time he was here in Contender Series. Second chances haven't gone that well this season, and neither have karate stylists. That said, John, I'm actually going to go with the dog here in Carl Reed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like there's some value on it. So you like Carl Reed in this one?
Yeah.
Fantastic. You picked a couple underdogs last week. This may be one. Not a big one, but a little bit of plus money.
Yeah.
We always check in with our man, Nolan King. Here's what he had to say. He said, Season 3 Carl Reed is a totally different fighter than Season 1 Carl Reed. I expect him to still throw his kick-heavy offense, but display sharp and technical striking, more confidence, and a more well-rounded game. Fighting an LFA champion will never be easy, but I expect him to get the nod via unanimous decision. 2 wins in the Contender Series will be enough for him to get a contract from UFC President Dana White. So Nolan King says not only the win, but a contract as well.
You know, again, full disclosure, I don't look at Nolan King's picks or predictions. I like being surprised like you guys. It's part of the fun for me doing the show, to be honest. And so if I'm on a dog and Nolan's on a dog, it makes me feel a little less crazy. Not saying he's going to win, but I feel less crazy when Nolan's on the same side.
I'm on the dog as well, so all 3 of us. So if you want to throw a little something on the dog there, maybe get a little plus money. All right, let's go to, we got a totally different situation, both in the odds and in terms of experience in our next matchup. It's a bantamweight fight between Ray Rodriguez and Tony Gravely. Let's meet these 2 fighters.
I am Ray Rodriguez, 31 years old, fighting out of San Antonio, Texas. After I graduated high school, I joined the Army and been in San Antonio since. Once I joined basic training, I was kind of exposed to this block of instruction called combatives, and they just had you grapple from the knees, and I did fairly well. It was called the King of the Ring for basic training, and there was no weight classes or anything like that, and I wound up winning. Once I got out of basic training in AIT, they had the same thing, and they had another King of the Ring tournament, and I wound up winning that. So I was already kind of in love with the sport because of The Ultimate Fighter. I was a big UFC fan, and I found out, one, I loved it, and 2, I had a little bit of skill set in grappling, you know. That's how I was exposed to it, man, and just fell in love with it. I still implement a lot of my combatives training into the way I fight, you know. Close the distance, gain dominant position, and finish the opponent. The way I'm going to get the contract is putting this guy to sleep, you know, whether that's with my fists, my elbows, my shins, or my knees. From the first bell to the last bell, I'm trying to go out there and finish. There should be no reason for you to take it to the judges. I want people to leave the arena and be like, God dang, that guy was looking for the kill, because that's what fighting's about. And that's what Dana wants to see, you know, he wants to see high-level combat. So that's what I'm bringing to the table, and I'm looking forward to bringing a highlight reel finish to the Contender Series and right in front of Dana White.
My name is Tony Gravely. I fight at Tech MMA and Fitness Academy in Christiansburg, Virginia. I'm looking to win that UFC contract and become the next UFC Bantamweight World Champion. The main reason I fight it, I think it's something that's in my blood. I grew up in a martial arts household. My dad taught Taekwondo, so I first started Taekwondo probably as soon as I could walk. My dad and I used to watch UFC since I was about 6 or 7 years old. It's always been a goal of mine to fight in UFC. Now, I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the fame. I do it for the honor, the pride. I fight to represent myself, my family, my teammates, and everybody from a small town looking to do big things.
You know, I had to pick, do I really want to fight, or do I want to focus on my career, construction project manager? It's one of those things where, for me to do something that I truly love doing, even making a lot less money, for a lot better than, you know, doing something that I didn't want to do. So to be this close it's just overwhelming. There's no way I can be denied of my dreams. Ray Rodriguez is a tough fighter. He seems like a great guy, but unfortunately, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna have to go out there and be violent. I'm gonna have to stop him like everybody else, and I'm gonna keep hitting him until he doesn't want to fight anymore. And I'm not gonna leave Las Vegas without that UFC contract.
If I go out there and I showcase my skill set to the fullest and knock this guy out, there's no doubt in my mind I'm going to get that contract.
I'm determined, dedicated. I'm going to show the MMA world that I may not be the biggest, but I'm one of the best.
All right, much more experienced fighters here in this bantamweight matchup. You've got Gravely, the lifelong martial artist there. You can really see the emotion in that package. He comes to us with an 18-5 career record, 7 knockouts, 3 submissions, all 3 of those by rear naked choke, 3 first-round finishes, and the losses that he's had, the names that he's lost to: Patrick Mix, Manny Bermudez, Merab Dvalishvili, Ricky Bandejas, and even Pat Sabatini, who's still doing good things out there in Cage Fury. They have a phenomenal broadcast team, by the way.
They do.
And meanwhile, you got Ray Rodriguez, who is coming to scrap. He's got a 15-5 record. He made it clear, he's coming out there to put on a show. 3 knockouts, 7 submissions to his name, 6 first-round finishes along the way. 10-1 in his last 11 fights is Ray Rodriguez. The only loss in that span is to Chris Gutierrez, who, by the way, is 2-1 right now in the UFC. So here's what I find interesting about this. 2 more experienced fighters. Both have a propensity to scrap and to finish. But the odds makers have Gravely as a minus 420 here, and Ray Rodriguez as a plus 335. Dan, Tom, when you were looking at this matchup, what did you think? Because I don't know that I'm seeing that much disparity.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can see why picking a favorite is a bit cut and dry from a stylistic standpoint, which I'll touch on here in a second. But you're right, John. The number really jumped off to me, not just in comparison to the other matchups, but just for this matchup in general. It's a bit wide for this style of matchup, but here's why I think why, and I think it's going to come down to the proverbial wrestling. I'm a big fan of Ray Rodriguez. He's been around. He's been around that tough Texas scene. Again, certain regions of the United States you're going to find tougher hombres in. Texas is one of them. Ray Rodriguez is one of those guys. But I kind of compare him to a George Sotiropoulos. I know that's a name from left field, but follow me here. Yeah. Rodriguez is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He can finish from multiple positions. He doesn't even necessarily need to be on the top, although you'd like to be at this level. The problem is when you don't have the wrestling. He can scrap on the feet. He's got the Jiu-Jitsu, kind of like George Sotiropoulos. He had that nice run in that lightweight division. Right. But when he ran into guys that could actually defend the takedowns and dictate where the fight was going to be, that's where he ran into problems, and that's where I see why Gravely's getting such a high number on his name. I think that wrestling prowess is going to help him dictate this one.
Makes sense. So you like Gravely in the fight?
I like Gravely. He'll be my pick, John, but for this number, my heart's with Texas, my wallet won't be, but the pick is Gravely, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a lot of money to lay for, at this level, especially and with everything that's on the line. Yep. We'll check in with our man Nolan King, obviously newest MMA Junkie staff member out there in the Boston area. He's always been a big Contender Series junkie, and he says, listen, this is one of my favorite fights on paper of the entire season. Both men are exciting finishers and have long been one of the best North American bantamweights on the regional scene. Rodriguez's journey to the Contender Series hasn't been a straight line, but overcoming adversity is a key tool. That said, I expect Gravely's ground game to be too much for Rodriguez as he pulls off a late submission and earns a UFC contract. So he is picking Gravely as well. I think we're all believing that Gravely is probably the right pick. It just seems like a lot of money to lay.
Yeah, that too, and I like that he picked finish there. Although I have a feeling this one might go to decision. If it gets to those lengthy, toward deep into the fight like that. But we'll see. Yeah, it's a fun one.
We'll find out about it. All right, that one should be a lot of fun. Next up is a women's bantamweight matchup between Sarah Alpar and Shanna Young. Let's meet these two ladies and hear about their stories. Pretty powerful stories on both of these.
I'm Shanna Young. I'm 28 years old, and I fight out of Knoxville Martial Arts Academy. On December 18, 2010, my life changed. My son Chase was born, and I started having this recurring dream, almost like a nightmare, that I was missing some part of my life that I just felt like I had to go find. And I decided to move to Tennessee and continue pursuing a career in MMA, and I left him with my parents in Virginia. It was a really tough decision, but with this dream looming over me, that was more painful than leaving Chase with people that I knew would take care of him better than I could. And then once I found MMA, I realized that this is what I was put here for. I was put on this earth to be a fighter. Nothing else has ever mattered as much. This is what I've decided is going to be my life, and I'm going to keep going. From day one, this has been my goal, and I knew I was going to be here fighting for a UFC contract. This opportunity is everything. This is, the thing that I've been working for my entire life. And if I were to get this contract, I could be a better provider for my son. I could be there for him. I could spend more time with him. Maybe get him involved more in my life in MMA. This would be the fulfillment of my life goals. This is what I was meant to do. And Sarah Alpar is not going to stand in my way.
My name is Sarah Too Sweet Alpar, and I fight for all the women and girls who need a hero. Growing up, I was always the girl who wanted to do something that other girls didn't do, and I was bullied a lot. It put in my head this low self-esteem that I wasn't, pretty enough, good enough. I think that was part of the reason why I was attracted to the kids who kind of had it rough, and it led me to some abusive relationships. In one of my relationships, my boyfriend at the time backed me into such a corner and I'll try to fight back, and next thing I know, my face lands into the dresser and split my lip open, and I cut my eyebrow, so I have scars. It's a reminder of all that violence that went on. I started doing MMA in the mix of all that, and fighting stuck with me. It kept me going because being on the mats was my sanctuary. It took me away from the outside chaos that I was so involved in. It's given me the opportunity to stand up for myself and to know that I'm worth something. I have fought my whole life, and now I can put all that hardship and all that hurt to use in the octagon to fulfill this dream that I have right now. And I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. I'm not afraid to hurt somebody.
I just want to get in there. I want to do what I do. I want to punch Sarah Alpar. I want to put on a show, and I want to finish the fight.
I want to show the world and everyone watching that I'm strong and powerful and I'm mean. I might just knock her out.
All right, good luck picking somebody to cheer for in that one, man. I mean, both great stories. Powerful video there from Young, the sacrifices that she's made to get here, and then Alpar, a former, domestic abuse victim. I mean, just powerful stories to get here. All right, but let's talk about inside the cage. Young comes with a 6-1 record, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. The lone loss in her career was by split decision. She actually has a 2016 win over Pam Sorensen, who just picked up an Invicta title at a higher weight class. Meanwhile, you got Sarah Alpar, a little bit more experience, but 8-4. She's had some more mixed results. 2 knockouts, 1 submission, 1 first-round finish. Dan, Tom, tell me what you saw in this matchup, because Shanna Young, a -170 favorite here. I got to say, and I don't mean this is any disrespect, I agree with her being the favorite. I'm actually, I think, a little bit surprised she's not more of a favorite.
Me too. I mean, when I'm looking at it from a stylistic standpoint, maybe they think that, Alpar can stymie. I'm a big fan of southpaws, John. That stance can kind of stymie it. And she's got, we're talking a bit, she's got more of a stouter frame. And even though I actually give Young a grappling advantage, both in maybe wrestling on the mat where it counts, should it be needed for this fight, we see that when you have, for example, at light heavyweight, if you're going against a guy like Latifi, a more short, stout guy, are you going to be more committed to change that level, or do they scrap it out on the feet? I think they scrap it out on the feet, judging from what I've seen, and I'm going to go with the more active fighter. A lot of times southpaws will kind of wait and counter a little too much. I'm not saying Alpar will be doing that tonight, but I'm going to go with the more kind of proven output, especially in these female divisions. That output and volume counts for a lot.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think if Alpar was going to win this fight, it would be through her wrestling, but I think we know that's not the type of fight that you want to put on here, right? And I think fighters have said at this point, they get it. You got to come put on a show. It's not just pick up a win bonus. So therefore, I think the style plays to Young's advantage too. So we'll check in with our man Nolan King out there on the East Coast, and he said expect a high striking output between these two fighters. Both fighters had their fair share of finishes, which should make for a fun fight, especially earlier in the fight. While Alpar is clearly more seasoned fighter on paper, I expect Young to pull off a late finish victory via strikes. Okay. The performance will earn her UFC contract. But Nolan's just giving away UFC contracts.
And finishes. Again, I would love that. I could see that on paper, even being a female bantamweight fight. Again, no knock. I'm just talking pure percentages here. I could see a late finish though, building finish. I do see Young pulling away down the stretch. I'll probably go slightly against our man Nolan and maybe say decision, but I'm on the same side here.
Yeah, no question. Seems like we're feeling it so far. All right, let's get to the fourth fight of the evening. It is a welterweight clash. I think people are pretty excited for this one. Devin Smith and Brock Weaver. Well, Brock was supposed to fight earlier this year. That didn't happen. He's back. Let's meet these two gentlemen.
They say every fight is your most important fight. I'm gonna be the first known Native American in the UFC. Nobody's ever actually represented the people who lived here first. My name is Brock Tushka Weaver. I'm 27 years old, fighting out of Port City MMA, and my goal is to get my people federal recognized. I was born in McIntosh, Alabama. It's an Indian reservation in the Mobile Choctaw. Growing up there was pretty rough, I would say, because fighting was a thing that everybody kind of got tested at early, and I was fighting pretty much every one of my friends. We battle tested each other, and what growing up like that is what has gave me the heart and the toughness that I got now to when I started learning how to fight, to just endure it. I'm 14-4, professional MMA record. What makes me dangerous, I think, on fight night is the spirit of the warrior. And something else kicks in me, and I've always been told I had a tenacity and an energy that people like in the ring even before the fight, the walkout, everything. It's just, I can feel it, man. It feels like I'm in a movie. When I'm in my movie, man, I call the shot. So this fight is gonna be a fast-paced fight because I'm gonna keep the pace that way. If this fight stays on the feet, I think I will definitely get a TKO. If the fight goes to the ground, I'm gonna catch him in a guillotine, and I'm gonna take his neck back to the reservation. I feel like I was born to fight. Every single fight, I try to make sure that everybody's watching will never forget watching Devin Smith fight. My name is Devin Smith, 23 years old, Murcielago MMA. My goal is to reach the Hall of Fame. MMA just gave me hope. It gave me hope that I had lost. The last time I went to jail, I was tired of wasting my life. I was tired of doing all the, terrible things that I was doing that lifestyle led me to. That's not the person I wanted to be. That's not the person who I was, when I was leading out a lifestyle that I guess wasn't in my blood, And I figured that out when I was sitting in jail, and I was like, man, I could be doing so many more great things with my life. I have a gift. I truly believe that, in terms of fighting. And that's what I was put here to do. One of the most important people, especially male figures in my life, is, new Hall of Famer Rashad Evans. He started, I guess, as a mentor with me at age 7. I was at a sort of youth wrestling team called Spartan Lightning, and I remember Chris Williams was the coach, and Rashad and other MSU wrestlers would come in and help the kids out and do all this. And I remember he was one of the only African-American wrestlers on the team, so immediately that was like my guy. Rashad never turned his back on me, and he just believed in me, and it's just a testament to what kind of character Rashad has. It's just truly amazing. I'm 9-1 as a professional. I have a TWC, Total Warrior Combat, Super Welterweight title. I truly believe that there's just nothing that Brock offers me. My striking is better than Brock Weaver's. I'm quicker than him. He can take a lot of damage, but we're gonna see how much damage he can take. You just better hope that you're more violent than me, because I'm gonna be probably the most violent person you've ever fought in your life.
Love Smith saying there his goal is to be in the Hall of Fame, not just a champion, not just a top contender, but he wants to be like his mentor, Rashad Evans. And then, of course, Brock Weaver, the emotion of the Native American motivation there. Devin Smith comes in. I was just saying first, the odds makers have this thing pretty much dead even. It's essentially a pick 'em. Devin Smith comes in with a 9-1 record. He lost his pro debut, then he's rattled off 9 straight wins. 6 of those are by stoppage, including 1 knockout. 5 of them are submissions. 3 of those are rear naked chokes. 5 of them are first-round finishes as well. Meanwhile, Brock Weaver, a little more experienced at 13-4, 2 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, and he's currently on a 6-fight winning streak. As we said, he was here earlier this year, but lost his fight on the day of, and so they brought him back to fight tonight. Dan Tom, like I said, the odds makers are kind of split on this. Which way did you lean? What did you see in this matchup?
This one's tough. Initially, of course, I'm looking at Brock Weaver because he was already on my radar as he was supposed to be on this season already. The Southpaw makes a nice turnaround here. He's got an interesting matchup, though. Like you said, this is the godson to Rashad Evans, and he's got a little bit of similar capabilities, style, athleticism. I think the takedown will serve him well, although, against a 2-stripe brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it could get a little hairy down there. So I think that Weaver's going to, Smith's going to find his path there, whether it's on the feet or on the floor. But I just have a feeling, John, this fight's going to abruptly end. Yeah. And I think Brock Weaver's going to get this out of nowhere. So I'm going to go, it might not be a big underdog pick, but I'm going to actually go with Brock Weaver here.
I dig it. He's definitely a scrappy dude, and he's coming to fight. Let's check in with our man, Nolan King. He says 2 shoe-ins for the Contender Series. Weaver and Smith are pretty evenly matched. Both fighters are well-rounded in their attack, but I believe Smith is just a little bit better everywhere, and for that, he'll earn a unanimous decision decision nod. So he's leaning the other way. I like Smith as well, but I like what you're saying about Weaver. He's a scrappy dude, and you could see, from that video package, his intensity. We got to see him earlier this show. I mean, he's an intense individual, so we'll see what he's bringing. That brings us to our featured fight. Again, we go back to the light heavyweight division. I think this one could be very fun as well. Herdem Alechebek versus William Knight, both undefeated fighters. I always like when they bring the undefeated records. Here's a little bit more about these two guys.
My name is Herdem Alechebek, and I fight out of Black House MMA, and I want to be a champion in the UFC. I'm 5-0 as a professional fighter, and it's all finishes, knockouts, submissions. I'm a killer, dude. I'm from Stockholm, Sweden. I'm proud to be a part of the Swedish MMA community. They have produced great fighters like Ilir Latifi, Alexander Gustafsson, a lot of guys that fight internationally and have very good results, and I believe I am one of them. I'm hoping to show the MMA world that I belong in the UFC and that I will be a force to be reckoned with. This opportunity that I gotten, it's the most important opportunity I've ever had in my life. Nobody's gonna stop me from getting this UFC contract.
My name's William Knight. I'm a father of 5 and I'm working on the UFC dream. I fight for people without a voice. I used to be that voice that was never heard, and now I have a platform where I can be the voice for others. I was picked on and bullied a lot at school. It went to a point where I'm walking down the hall, this kid, he ran up to me, punched me in my mouth, blood everywhere. I just kept walking and told my grandmother. She came up to the school trying to figure out what's going on because the teachers weren't doing nothing. Until that one day, I retaliated and put my hands on a kid that put his hands on me for the longest, and then I got expelled. I use that today to go to school. Then I talk to little kids because I feel like it's still going on, that little kids are afraid to speak out, and I let them know it's okay to speak out. So a UFC contract would mean to me that there is hope and hard work. I get that excitement because it's like a revenge thing to me. All these years that people were picking on me, everything I've been through growing up, my opponents get that frustration. I'm on a mission, I'm gonna get the finish. First round, nothing past 5 minutes.
William Knight is a rare breed, but in the end of the day, I have everything it takes, all the tools to dismantle this guy.
If he tries to stand and throw with me, I'm going to knock him out. I was bullied, abused, went through hell, and I'm ready to give it back.
All right, easy to see, I think, while we're fired up for this one. Two finishers that are going to get in there and look to bang. William Knight is your underdog. He is a plus 160. Herdem Alechebek at minus 185. Great article on MMA Junkie if you have time during the commercials tonight or whatever to read it. If you haven't already, Nolan King put it up. William Knight, a guy that was bullied. I don't think that probably happens to him much anymore. Looking at him, he is 4-0. He turned pro in May 2018. It's crazy. He's only been a pro for a year, but he's won all 4 of his fights by knockout, 3 of those in the first round. So he's making big strides. Meanwhile, Alechebek, he's 5-0. All 5 of his wins are by stoppage, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. Both of those are rear naked chokes, 4 of those in the first round. So it looks like it should be fireworks on paper. Dan Thomas, you were breaking this one down. What insight can you offer? Who are you leaning?
Well, Knight, also, not to mention those were in CES. It's a good, another good organization to kind of get your credits in. But I don't know if he's going to have enough tools for everything Alechebek brings. Especially with the wrestling department, I think he's going to be the better grappler. Right. So, and again, I've been picking a lot of decisions here, John. I do think this is another finish here. I think he gets him to the ground, and if he can't get the submission on Knight, I think he's going to finish it off by some ground and pound. Give me the favorite here.
I like it. I think it's a dangerous guy, but William is a dangerous guy as well.
Yes,
I think he's going to be exciting as well. I think he's got a chance to win the fight. So it's a live dog for sure. I think what a lot of people are leaning, if you can find it, if you want to put some money down, is the under, right? I mean, this one, I don't think this one's going the distance.
Yeah, this one has hellfire written all over it, folks.
All right, let's check in with our man Nolan King for the final time today. He says, one way or another, I don't expect the bout between Alechebek and Knight to hit the midpoint of the fight. No surprise, both 205-pounders are finishers. Knight makes this matchup a little more difficult to decipher because he's a bit of an unknown commodity at 4 fights. From what we've seen of Herdem, he's been impressive. I predict he'll score a first-round submission overnight. And if he does, Nolan King didn't give him a contract with these light heavyweights.
Yeah.
It is early in their career, but light heavyweights and heavyweights, always kind of have the advantage. I think they got one foot in the door already. And Dana's even said that. He's like, look, these divisions are kind of thinner. If you look good in those divisions, you're probably going to get a shot.
Yep.
Overall, you think we see a bunch of contracts? We've seen as many as 5 this season. It's crazy. As you look at the crop, do you feel like these are UFC-ready people, or how many do you think we give out tonight?
You know what? I was actually going to say, John, and I wanted to start off optimistically, so I'm glad I didn't say this, but we've been spoiled with our last 2 shows, I want to say in particular. I think this show, not that it doesn't portend for a bunch of action fights, I will say this, I don't see more than 2 contracts given out tonight.
Okay. I think that's fair. You got some raw people in here, that maybe a little more experience would be good. We'll see what happens. I do think it's going to be fun, though. Of course, it's on ESPN Plus if you're here in the United States. It's top of the hour with UFC Fight Pass if you're outside anywhere. And listen, we got to run in there, take our seats inside the arena. It's just behind this wall. We're going to go get seated. We'll have full coverage of all the action on MMA Junkie. And then Dan Tom tomorrow will have his grading the winners piece that you've come to expect. Tune in. Should be fun, just like every week. Dana White's Contender Series.
I represent my people, the Mohawk Choctaws. I just want to test my skills that I've been growing up and training, and I just want to fight the best in the world.
I feel like I was born to fight. Every single fight, I try to make sure that everybody's watching will never forget watching Devin Smith fight. You watch me fight and you'll not forget it, period.
Me fighting him is just another stepping stone. I'm going to put on my best performance. I'm going to finish this guy.
I have earned this opportunity by working hard and staying dedicated to my craft.
You are watching the world's most intense job interview. It's Dana White's Contender Series.
Future stars are vying for that UFC contract. They have a chance literally to change their lives forever.
After the long hours in the gym. After the years of grueling training.
What determination they have.
After a lifetime pursuing hopes and dreams. There comes the moment where a contender can make dreams come true. 100 fighters.
Welcome to the Contender Series. These fighters know what gets them to the big show.
10 nights.
One shot and it is over. Wow.
Oh, he's out.
That's it. Action-packed.
One shot to impress the boss and earn a UFC contract. This is Dana White's Contender Series.